We've been doing LED headlight bulb upgrades on the Dodge Ram for quite a while, and today we have a new LED bulb product that's twice as bright as our old kit. In 2009 to 2017, you can get this single beam reflector headlight housing, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. If you have the heavy duty headlight that has a single large reflector with an H13 bulb, go check out our other videos to see what fits that. In this video, we're specifically talking about the one that uses an H11 low beam and a 9005 high beam. If you're familiar with our channel, you know that we test tons of different LED and HID products. And when we sell a vehicle-specific kit on our website, we don't just grab the thing we make the most money on or the brand we happen to sell the most of and throw it in a kit. We do our testing, we do our research, and we figure out what fits, what's the brightest, and what has the best beam pattern before we ever recommend it to you. Our first LED headlight kit for this truck used the Supernova V2 LED headlight bulb. And today we're going to talk about the Supernova V3 in the Dodge Ram single beam headlight. It's very similar in design. It has the external driver, it has the flexible heatsink, and the actual body of the bulb is also very similar. The V2 uses a single LED on each side, where the V3 uses 3 Philips ZES chips on each side. This new LED technology, commonly called CSP, more closely mimics the size, shape, and location of your original filament bulb inside the housing, which gives you a better beam pattern. And these new Supernova V3 bulbs are about twice as bright as the V2s. In this video, we're going to be talking about two different kits for your 09 to 17 single beam reflector headlight housing. First, we're going to talk about the super easy to install low beam kit, totally plug and play, and we'll go over that first. Then we're going to go over the new high beam kit using a Supernova V3 bulb, the GTR lighting PWM modules, and a new pass-through harness to make this install possible on your Ram truck. The Dodge Ram LED low beam kit for this headlight comes with two H11 Supernova V3 LED headlight bulbs and a pair of GTR lighting PWM modules with the correct H11 connectors on it. The PWM module is what makes this whole kit work. Without this, we could never do LED bulbs in your Ram because you get flickering, strobing, bulb out warnings, the lights just turn off, all kinds of issues. So if you're looking for a kit and it doesn't have this specific PWM module, it might not work. We've tried a bunch of different products, and this is the only thing that we found that is reliable and actually functions how it's supposed to on the Ram. A lot of products look like this unassuming black box, but trust me, this is different. PWM stands for pulse width modulation. It's what the Dodge vehicle uses to control the headlights. It flashes the voltage to the bulb super fast, faster than you can even see. And this smooths out that voltage and gives the correct signals back to the truck, telling it that everything's good. If you didn't have this, you'll get strobing and other issues. To do the install is simple. Get to the back side of your headlight. If you need help with removing the headlights, we have other videos in our Dodge Ram section that show you how to take apart the front end of your truck for an HID install. It's the same process. There's a dust cover here. Remove that. The bulb is right inside. Twist it and pull off the wire harness. Then your PWM module plugs in there. You can see the PWM connector is the exact same socket type as the original halogen bulb. Plug it in, make sure it goes in smooth and stays put. Then this side plugs into your LED headlight bulb. You can see the 3 tabs on the LED are the same as on the halogen bulb. I'm talking about these 3 metal tabs here around the base, and they use the same O-ring. So the way the bulb plugs in is a direct replacement for your old halogen bulb. Line up the 3 tabs, get it in there, give it a little push and twist, and then the bulb is installed. Now it's just getting all the wiring inside. The heat sink can be spread out and put in there. And then you start by putting the different modules in on either side of the reflector. The PWM module can go in on that side. The driver can go in on this side. Then we just have a few wires to fit in there. When you get it all in there, put the dust cover back on, and it's done. Plug in your headlight to the Jeep factory wiring, and everything should work. If you turn it on and you have some kind of issue, double check your connections. Sometimes you can make a mistake and have something plugged in backwards. The high beam kit's almost identical, with the exception of one extra part. You've got your 9005 style Supernova V3 LED headlight bulbs. You've got your GTR lighting PWM modules, but this time they have the 9005 style connectors on them. And in order to fit the PWM module in the high beam position, you have to mount it on the outside of the headlight. There's a really slick way to do that and keep all your connections waterproof and retain your dust cover's protection of the headlight. The 9005 style pass-through adapter harness allows us to plug into the PWM module on the outside and the factory headlight wiring on the inside, passing through a rubber grommet in the dust cover so that everything stays waterproof and safe. The high beam dust cover is the lower one. So first we twist that off. The bulb is here. You twist it and pull it out and disconnect the high beam wiring. Your LED bulb should then go right in place of the old halogen bulb. You've got the 3 tabs on the outside of the bulb, and they should match up enough that your new LED bulb goes right in place. Insert it and twist it until it's in the right orientation, and now you have your wire harness here. One really important step in your LED headlight bulb install process is making sure that the LED chips are aligned correctly inside the headlight. You see we have LEDs here and LEDs here. It's really important that you have them lined up to shine against the reflector bowl correctly. The original incandescent bulb has a 360-degree light output. This one does not. There's a bar in the middle. So to make these work, we have to have the LEDs shining left to right. Now, LED headlight bulbs are designed to be a fairly universal product. They will work on a 9005, a 9145, an H10, a 9140, and a bunch of different halogen variants. So they designed the 3 tabs on the side to be smaller than the actual 9005 bulb so that it fits more applications. So the first thing is, when we put it in, you're actually going to be able to install it a few different ways. You want to keep installing it until you have it in the headlight so that the LEDs are left to right. You see the design of the reflector is kind of spread out left to right. So we want the LEDs to be facing that reflector surface. We don't want it facing up and down. We don't want it facing at an angle. Anything like that is going to give you a poor beam pattern. So I'm going to try one more time, get it in, and just look at the front of the headlight and make sure that it's kind of spread out left to right. Right there, we have the LEDs facing exactly left to right. Now, one thing that I'm noticing while doing this is that the LED doesn't fit very snug in this headlight housing. Again, they're designed to be universal. They'll fit different applications. So sometimes this headlight's going to fit a little more loosely and a different headlight will fit a little more tight. What I'm talking about is the part of the headlight back here that secures these plastic tabs in place. I'm finding that when I install this in there, there's not enough meat to the headlight bulb to keep it tightly in place. Here's a good trick. Remove the O-ring from your old bulb and double it up on your new LED. Push it down and over the old one, and then install your bulb. That's a little trick that doesn't cost anything, and it really does a good job at freeing up that extra space. You may not have to do this. It all depends on the manufacturing discrepancies from one headlight to another and different models. A Toyota Tundra might not have this problem, but the Dodge Ram has more of a loose fit. In order to install the pass-through harness in the high beam dust cover, you use a step bit or similar tool to drill a 7/8 inch hole. Take the bit, center it on the dust cover, and drill it out until you have a 7/8 inch hole. Now that you have your hole drilled, it's time to pass the wiring through here. But to keep everything tight and secure and waterproof, the hole has to be as small as possible, which means these two connectors don't fit through. I'm going to use a pick tool to disconnect the wiring, pass it through, and reconnect it. Inside this harness, on the inside of each pin, there's a little plastic release lever. Use a sharp pick or other very small screwdriver to reach in there and depin this connector. Then this connector has a little plastic clip on these shoulders, so you pry that off first. Then on the top, again on the inside of each pin, you have a release mechanism. You take your pick or small screwdriver and stick it in, and press it out and pull on the back side of the wire. Now with your two connectors taken apart, it can easily pass through the dust cover. Then you match up each side so that they're the same. We'll start with this one. We have black on the left and right and red on the right. If you insert it and it falls out, use your pick and reset this little metal spring clip. Then you put your retaining plastic clip back on. Next is this one. This is actually a universal connector. It'll just go together however we want. Now that we have the wire pass through, you have to take your rubber grommet and make sure it seals up that hole. Don't make this hole too large. You want it to be tight so that it seals. Start with a smaller hole, and if you still have issues sealing your grommet, then make the hole one step bigger. Now that we have the pass-through harness installed on the dust cover, everything's plug and play. On the inside, we have a male and female connector. You find the wiring for your original halogen high beam, and that plugs into the one that looks like the halogen high beam bulb. And you want to make sure that you have black to black. That's your ground wiring. If you have that backwards, nothing will work. And then the other one connects to your LED headlight bulb wiring. At this point, we can stuff all this in. Now we have these two wire harnesses coming out. Without anything hooked up to this, it's not going to work. But this is where the PWM module goes. As you can see, it's all plug and play. It only goes in one way. Just make sure to match up your wire colors, red to red, black to black. Red is positive, black is negative. At this point, you can put your headlight back in the truck and fire it up. Test everything. If it doesn't work, check out your connections and make sure they're hooked up correctly. The original halogen bulb is a 60 watt H11 for the low beam. And as you can see, it's this dingy yellowish color. It has a hot spot in the upper center of the beam pattern. It actually has sort of a fuzzy cutoff line, which is really common to see in these types of headlights. We used a digital lux meter, put the headlight at 23 feet from the wall, and measured the brightest spot of the hot spot. So the maximum usable light is the lux number. And this one came in at 710 maximum lux, even though the bulb itself is rated at about 1100 lumen. Now when we put in the Supernova version 3 H11 LED headlight bulb, there's a bunch of things that are different. The beam pattern has changed a little bit. Most notably, it's a little bit taller and it's a little bit wider. The hot spot is larger and brighter, and the color is a much more desirable 6000K white color. When we take the lux meter to this beam pattern, the brightest part of the beam is 1290 lux. That's almost double the light output of the stock low beam. That is an incredible upgrade. The halogen high beam is interesting because it doesn't really get any brighter than the low beam. It just changes the beam pattern. Here we have this large rectangular box-shaped beam pattern with the hot spot is larger than the low beam and it's dead center. Definitely a different approach on the high beam than the low beam in terms of the functionality. Now the low beam only created 710 maximum lux at the hot spot, and the high beam only creates 730 maximum lux in this test. So it's not much brighter, it's just a different position for a different type of lighting. Putting the Supernova V3 in the high beam of the Ram is definitely an upgrade. We have a more bright white color, the hot spot is more intense, and it retains roughly the same beam pattern. You've got that large rectangular shape to do exactly what the high beam was intended to do. Also, the original halogen high beam bulb produced 730 lux. This one produces 1630, well above twice the light output of the stock high beam bulb. This is a huge upgrade, and it only works if you have the bulb aligned correctly. We're really excited about these LED headlight bulbs. As you can see, they're way brighter than the stock halogen bulbs. This bulb is brighter than the V2. It's a really great upgrade all around. And of course, the low beam is super easy to put in. The high beam's a little more challenging, but I hope with the right tools, you can follow our instructions and do this project yourself. Thanks for watching. If you want to see other Dodge Ram videos, check out the other ones in our channel, and subscribe if you want to see the next LED headlight bulb review or install video that we come out with next.